20 used cars, trucks, and SUVs. $2.5 million in inventory, starting at $2,995. Down payments as low as $29. And payments starting at just $99 a month. Shop at PremierTroy.com or come see us. Nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody.
I wish you could taste how much better food tastes when cooked on a Green Mountain grill. But I can let you in on the reason that's true. Our pellets contain water, so they create steam while you cook, keeping your food moist. Does a gas or charcoal grill do that? I think not.
Come and see us at Southern Grill and Patio, just off the square in Troy.
More Force, we've been through a lot this year, from saving Christmas to facing some of our most nefarious foes.
Like the leprechaun.
Like the tax man.
Or the overpricing.
And we defeated them all. So no matter what villain comes for our customers, they'll have to come through us first. We'll keep slashing our prices on new vehicles and beefing up our certified pre-owned selection. All just a click away at MitchellNissan.com. So whatever they need, the More Force is prepared.
More Force!
MitchellNissan.com. More, it's what we do.
Life is hectic enough without worrying if your lights will stay on or if there's hot water for your child's bath. So count on natural gas to keep the energy flowing, even when the weather is unpredictable. Natural gas is always there to keep your home warm, showers hot, and food cooked to perfection. That's why America has relied on safe and affordable natural gas for more than 150 years. And we will be here for you and future generations too. You can count on natural gas from Southeast Alabama Gas District.
It's the Big Finish event going on now at Premier Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Save up to $10,000 on new Ram 1500 or new Jeep Grand Cherokee. Save up to $10,000 during the Big Finish event at PremierTroy.com. Nobody beats a Premier deal.
Son went to Pipe Arts.
Good morning and welcome to Today in L.A. My name's Mike Amos. His name is Bill Rice Jr. and his name is Forrest Lee. As we start a Friday, thank goodness a Friday, Forrest Lee.
It's the 7th of January. Tomorrow on the 8th would have been Elvis's 87th birthday.
87.
Elvis Aaron Presley.
Wow.
You know, he had a twin brother to pass away at birth.
Well, I've forgotten that.
His name was Jesse Garon, G-A-R-O-N.
A twin brother, an identical twin brother?
I don't know if it's identical. He was born like 30 minutes before Elvis. He was stillborn.
Mm-hmm. On a sad note this morning, Miss Sarah Bowden died in Brundage, Alabama. She's a wonderful, wonderful lady, the wife of Lawrence Bowden, my good friend, and our prayers and our thoughts go out to that family. And, of course, Miss Livingston, you knew her very well, didn't you, Forrest?
Miss Helen Livingston, she was married to Roy Livingston. They lived at Livingston's Crossroads, and she was a nurse for Dr. Jim Colley for a long period of time, and that's where my mother, Dr. Jim, stole mother from the Troy Hospital. She was working with Gloria Flowers, Steve's mother.
That's right.
She did that dictation, you know, the doctor, she would transcribe his notes. So she was hired by Dr. Jim, and they were at where Skeen Funeral Home is now. Mm-hmm. Dr. Jim and his dad, Tip, practiced medicine there together. And then Mr. Jim moved over there where Dr. Teixeira's office is now. Mm-hmm. And that's where Mother was working when she passed away.
And of course,
Sarah, she was one of a kind.
Of course, Sarah, Livingston Crossroads, you can't miss it. You know, it's one of the most obvious crossroads in Pike County to me.
And I'm sorry, Mrs. Bowden, she was a Dickert. Her
yes,
maiden
sir.
name is Dickert.
Exactly right.
And that's a big name.
Ralph Dickert was her brother, I think, and that Dickert family and the Bowden family were two of the oldest families in Pike County, and especially in Brundage. But wonderful lady. You know, she was always involved with the Pike Pillow Around Theater, and she was always one of the top people every year. Of course, her son, Ben Bowden, is probate judge in Andalusia. Great people. And Lawrence, if you're watching this morning, our prayers and our thoughts are with you and your whole family.
Yep. Ben is my age. He I think he's class of '83, Pike Arts. And he's a civic leader in Andalusia and Covington County.
Ms. Bowden's service will be on Saturday from 11 o'clock, and the body will lie in state 1 hour before the service. So it will be at 11 o'clock at Brundage United Methodist Church this Saturday morning at 11.
Again, our prayers and our thoughts will go out to the family. Of course, a lot going on this weekend. We've got basketball, Troy University's basketball. Last night they won over Coastal Carolina, and your buddy there, he wasn't singing a song.
Cliff Ellis?
That's right, Cliff Ellis. He lost by 10 to the Trojans last night.
Awesome. I would have been there, but we had a birthday supper for my son Jack at the same time as the basketball game, and so I'm happy they won. And then Troy plays Saturday afternoon at 4 against Appalachian State. We plan to be there, and Frank and Liz are going to go to their first Troy basketball game in the new arena.
And the women won. The women beat a Texas school, 96 to 73. They're both 11-5, and that matches the men's winning total last year of 11 wins.
So I tell you,
we're already at 11 now. So
that's right.
Scott Cross, salute
to
you and your staff and players.
I had a few of my buddies from Andalusia, excuse me, came to town last night and said, Mike, come on over, I'm going to buy you supper. And I went on over to the half shell and ate supper. I had fried shrimp. No, excuse me, had fried oysters. And we sat back, and my friend had 2 dozen oysters, and I said, you know, I eat oysters a lot, especially when I'm at the beach, but I don't even think about eating oysters much here in Troy.
Yeah.
But let me tell you,
he
says every time he comes here, he buys oysters, and he said they were delicious. They were cold and delicious from the half shell.
Well, the half shell, that's their name, man.
Yeah, I know it. Yeah.
You know, one thing about basketball I want to mention, the Luverne Lady Tigers upset Charles Henderson last night in Luverne, 48-42 in overtime.
Oh, man.
Which that doesn't happen much, is it? It hadn't happened much. I bet you on your hand in the last probably 5 years has Charles Henderson lost the game.
Well, that was their 4th loss this year. We're 7-4. KK Hobby scored 28 points. Takia Brockton 9, but for Luverne, Anaya Burnett led with 20 points. And the Pike County boys and girls both defeated Goshen yesterday.
Yeah.
Now, the Charles Henson boys did not play. I talked to a friend in Brundage yesterday. Well, he lives in Troy. His son plays varsity basketball for Troy. Said that the Luverne coach called Coach Face and said, we won't be able to play you today, and we won't have enough folks to hold up against you. So the boys did not play.
That was a good way to
get out
skip out on get out of the loss.
And I don't know if they had a COVID issue or what. I do not know, but the next game for Charles Henson will be Tuesday in Greenville, Alabama. It'll be a big area game for both the boys.
I think
and
Charles Henderson's the rankings just came out. They're number 5.
Both boys and girls are 5. And Carroll boys are number 6.
What the Trojans are ranked in the standings?
Both of them.
Oh,
boys and girls.
I knew the boys were having a real good year. Of course, this show is brought to you by Premier Dodge Chrysler Jeep and Ram trucks on the bypass in Troy, where they've got another huge savings. You can save $10,000 on a brand new Ram 1500 or our new Jeep Grand Cherokees, $10,000 off, and you're just not going to beat that. They've got over $2.5 million in inventory. So bring it on, ladies and gentlemen, to Premier Dodge Chrysler Jeep and Ram trucks. Nobody beats the Ram deal. I want to mention locally Piggly Wiggly, where he'll cut you a steak as thick as you want it, and I've just always felt like the thicker the better. You know, when I cook a steak, so I always look for the good steaks at Piggly Wiggly.
Mike, a few months ago, you broke out the grill, and I went over for a steak at Mike's.
He cooked you one?
Yeah, it was great.
Yes,
Mike's
sir.
on Crow.
Well, you brought him so many pies and cakes. It was nice that he gave.
Well, and I make sure that we eat the good breakfast. In fact, breakfast is on today.
All right, let's do it.
We'll take Forrest over to Julia's to eat breakfast today. That's going to be an eggs over light meal.
Well, I'm starting my.
Unless you want to go to, we've been to Birds the last 3 days.
Well, we go either one, but I'm starting my program. I delayed my program because of Jack's birthday. I wanted to have birthday cake and ice cream and his birthday dinner. I was supposed to start Wednesday, and now here it's Friday. But when I start, I go on the low carb, so I eat a lot of eggs and sausage. I can eat that. So that'll be perfect.
An omelet is a perfect food on the Atkins
on
diet.
the low carb diet. It is. Yep.
And and it's good, and it's eggs, bacon, cheese, ham,
Spanish
cheese,
omelet, yeah,
and it's just really good.
I had a Kelly's sausage sandwich last night for supper. I baked it cooked it in the microwave, or heated it up in the microwave and sliced it.
Yeah.
And put it on some bread with a little bit of mayonnaise, a little bit of mustard.
Let me tell you a little something about the sausage, and you can't find it much. And I think the place that used to serve it is closed now for breakfast, but is the big thick sausages. I love the big thick Kelly Link sausages, but you don't see that as much. They're all the smaller lengths. But it's awfully good, the Kelly sausage.
Well, tell us more about the Trojan basketball team. Do they look good?
Oh yeah, they led by 20 with about 5 minutes to go in the game, and then just sort of laid back the rest of the.
How is that little guard looking? Is he still playing?
Yeah, he's still playing. He's quick as a cat. Now last night, 3 players did not play because of the COVID virus.
For Troy?
Yes, sir.
And they still won by 10.
That's right, and didn't know whether they were going to play or not until a few minutes before the game, but or a few hours before the game. But they played very well. And,
I wonder how this is going to affect the Alabama-Georgia game. Your son, Michael, says that they're not even going to test, or they're going to look the other way.
Yeah.
But it seems like every team that is testing is losing 20% of its team for games.
Well,
if Troy lost 3 players, how many players are on the basketball team? About 12? That's 25% of your
they
team.
dressed 15, I think. Just 15, and I'm not going to mention their names, but hopefully they'll get one back for tomorrow night, because he's been in the quarantine.
Yeah. Here's some stats. That Effie Oda guy, is that how they pronounce his name?
Yeah, that's right.
And Jacavian Leffridge both scored 13 points on a combined 9 of 15 from the field. Leffridge 13 points proved to be the career high coming off the bench. Zay Williams could do no wrong.
Yeah, he's number 10, and he can jump out of the gym, I tell you.
12 points, 10 rebounds. All 12 points came in the second half, and they led by 1 point. The Chanticleers led at the half by 1 point. And
of course, Coach Ellis has been with I'm not going to even try to pronounce it, but has been with Coastal Carolina for quite a while now, and he's won a lot of basketball games. But last night, Troy was in control in the second half, and I was with a good friend of mine last night, Lionel Ed Rainey. Have y'all ever heard that name? Mm-hmm. Lionel Ed Rainey from Greenville, Alabama, and his brother Tuffy Rainey, Cecil Tuffy Rainey, was at the game last night.
Are they kin to Mr. Rainey, Jack Rainey?
No, they're brothers.
Was Jack Rainey there?
No, Jack wasn't there, but Tuffy and Lionel Ed were there. Tuffy Rainey was a good athlete. He did not play for Alabama, but he was a manager at Alabama after transferring from Arkansas A&M, where he was a quarterback.
Wow!
But this was in the '60s, mid '60s.
So he got to know Coach Bryant.
Oh yeah, he knew a lot about Alabama football. Tuffy had, and then Lionel Ed signed with Southern Miss out of high school, and went and played for Southern Miss for a year before transferring to Troy. And he played for Billy Atkins, and of course he was a great athlete. He was also a very good golfer, and like a lot of Greenville golfers.
Well, that's
are.
why the Rainies are all great athletes. Mr. Rainey was probably a good athlete.
Oh, no question about it.
Scott Rainey in my class, one of my best friends, was one of the best all-around athletes. He was all-state in football as a safety.
Yeah.
He was the punter on the football team, punted at Army, and he was a starter on the Eddie McCarter's basketball team as well.
Yeah. And just a great athlete. Of course, Jack Rainey was president of the bank here in Troy, and a great
after
friend
Leon
of mine.
Hillier. He and Leon were real
That's
good.
right, and no question about it. And he continues to live in Troy and in a beautiful home over on West College Street.
And then Todd Rainey, Scott's brother, he was the starting free safety on the state championship team.
Yeah.
Weighed 200 pounds, super fast. And one of the best track athletes ever to come out of Troy. He was discus and shot put.
Yeah.
And then he was on scholarship at Troy University on the track team.
But I think he threw the javelin.
He probably
threw
did.
the spear.
He probably did.
Yeah. Of course, Troy Bank and Trust Company is the only bank you'll ever need, and of course, with 14 locations, and they're getting bigger and bigger, and we appreciate them so very much. Troy Bank and Trust Company, and of course, I think I could name them. Let's see. There are 3 branches in Troy. We're not going to count them all, but we're going to count 14. I would say there's one in Elba, there's one in Enterprise, there's one in Goshen, there's one in New Brockton.
There's 2 in Brundage.
There's 2 in Brundage. There's one in Dothan, or 2 in Dothan now. There's one in Auburn.
There may be 2 in Auburn. One or 2.
Yeah,
I know
that's
there's
right.
at least
Yeah.
one.
And there's one in Arrington. Then I've already mentioned Brundage. I've already mentioned 14 locations to choose from right here in Pike County, Alabama, and of course we appreciate them very much. And of course, want to thank all of our sponsors, that have been with us so many years. They've been so loyal to us, and one of them is my buddies across the street, Lane and Lyle Wise at Wise Office Supply, and where they can take care of all your
office supply needs,
office supplies,
copy machines,
business supplies, and they do a wonderful job.
Locally owned, great. That is one of the great businesses in Troy history. Wise Office Supply.
And they were.
I guess their daddy must have. Did he start it? I guess.
Yeah. No. Well, he didn't start it. No. It had been there for. I'll tell you who started it in a minute if my brain gets around to it. But his dad started it, and
it was a fixture on the square, the center of the square, buddy.
Yeah. And his daddy was a great Trojan supporter. He always supported high school and college football and sports, and he was a wonderful guy.
And they had charge account. When I would work at Chapman Oil Company with my dad, and he would just say, go down to the Wise Office Supply and get so-and-so.
Was that out there at the bypass, right there at the crossover? Where was that oil company? Was it on?
Chapman Oil Company?
Chapman, yeah.
I was out the Luverne Highway on the left, past
past
Miss
Co-op.
Colquitt's dance studio.
Okay, yeah. What was that one on the right before you crossed the?
That was a shell.
That was Bots.
Yeah, that was an old. And
And
then
that
there
was-
was
yeah.
there were 2 or 3 on there, I think,
Yeah.
on that road.
Yeah, exactly right. And of course, I was thinking the other day about growing, my neighborhood growing up, and back then I could name you everybody that lived on Fairview Street,
I know
everybody
you
that
can.
lived on Orange Street, but it's not like that anymore. But
And did you
at
have a
one
paper
time-
route?
No, I didn't have a paper route, but I still knew where everybody lived. I knew where Cheryl Crow, the chairman of so many boards, lived, and of course.
Well, the reason I say that is a lot of people that have paper routes, that's how they get to know everybody's name. And one person that had a paper route when he was young that has the greatest memory for names of anybody in American history.
Bill Rice.
No, I would be the opposite. George Corley Wallace.
Yeah, he had a great, yes sir.
He will remember you if he met you for 1 minute, and not only will he remember you, he will know your people.
He told me.
But he had. Somebody has told me that he had a paper route when he was a kid, and that's kind of how he trained his mind.
Well, Steve Flowers ran a paper route. Mark Davis had a paper route. Lanier Little had a paper route. Bill Blunt had a paper route. And, how did that work out?
Steve Daniels, that was the last person I remember that had a paper route that did it on their bicycle. There was Reverend Daniels at the First Methodist Church. His son had a paper route, lived in my neighborhood on, I think the First Methodist Church preacher's house is on Flavia. But I only knew him for a couple months because I moved into Troy about the time they were moving out. But I remember him. He was about 7th or 8th grade, and he had a paper route on his bicycle in 1980. Man, you don't see that anymore.
That's right. Michael's on the road today. I don't know if we'll hear from him. He's down in the bayou, and he might call in, but
you know who else had a paper route? Oh, I interrupted you.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I owned the newspaper, the Troy Citizen, for about 7 years. I had a paper route for about 5 of those years.
Did you roll them before you went out?
Sometimes I rolled them. And then sometimes I paid people to roll them for me, and then I just threw them in my car. And I mean, the easy route was Hillcrest in my neighborhood, but then I would go out in the country, the Goshen, and going 55 miles an hour, zoom,
that's
zoom,
right.
zoom,
Yeah,
zoom.
that's right.
And you have to lead. I would aim for the mailboxes right by the driveways, and you got to lead it. About 3 seconds. And it was like I was an option quarterback.
Yeah.
How's that shoulder holding up?
Back when I was growing up, my dad worked for 40 years with the Montgomery Advertiser, and he drove the trucks that went to the cities. And when it got to the cities like Andalusia or Luverne or Brantley or Dozier or Opp or Enterprise, whatever, that's where the people. That's where he would meet with all the carriers. And drop off the bundles of papers.
He had to get up early, didn't he?
But he said he was up all night long. But he did that for 40 years. He was on contract with the advertiser, and he had the trucks.
Frank Fryer, my father-in-law, was a regional manager, circulation for the advertiser too.
That's right. He met with the circulation people, and he dropped them off and whatever. But what I was leading up to it, between Elba and Troy, he had a route. Individual route. Well, I've seen it so many times that he very rarely ever missed. But I could see he would go by the mailbox of the person he's throwing it to, going 50 miles an hour, and he'd flip it. And he'd flip it about 10 yards before he got to the spot, and it would land right on that spot,
right in the middle.
And he did it for 50 years, pretty much.
Was the Messenger located near the Alabama River where it is now? Was it in
the Advertiser?
The Advertiser,
different place. Mr. Youngblood, Herman Youngblood had the.
It was downtown. The Advertiser was downtown forever in Montgomery, in the back part of downtown Montgomery.
Well, it was right there in the front part. It was right there in downtown. Let me tell you a real quick thing, and I'm telling you a little bit about my personal life, but. My dad missed very few days. Of course, he'd have some different people sometimes taking his route, but very rarely did he. He always took that route. Or drove to all those cities, each morning. But what I was going to say, the people that worked with him. And work with all of them would always consider those people the news people of the South. What I'm saying, if they didn't get the newspaper to the people, they would miss a whole day of what was going on in Alabama.
Well, and I would say that everybody got the Montgomery Advertiser. Not everybody, of course, but wouldn't you say that 50 or 60, everybody that mattered in any town growing up in Troy, 50% of the houses would get the Montgomery Advertiser. How many do you think today get it? None. I bet there's no Montgomery Advertiser, paper boy, paper deliverer.
If you didn't take the Advertiser, you missed out, and these great athletes missed out on great nights of football and so forth.
And it was a good paper, and now now they're so thin. Back when that paper in the 1950s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, that paper was thick. And I can also tell you it's easier to throw a paper that's heavy because the wind doesn't.
Well, on Sundays, your Sunday's paper was always bigger,
super thick,
and it was thick, and it was hard to roll it.
Hard to roll it, yeah.
When I was in graduate school at the University of South Alabama in 1983 and 1984, a guy from Andalusia, Ken Bledsoe, and I both worked for the Mobile Press Register. And they had bought 2 brand new Datsun pickups that had phones in them. We had to be at work by 6 o'clock, and we worked from like 6 to 10. And they would call us, and we'd have to log for anybody that called in and did not get their paper that day, or if their paper was wet, we'd have to log it. Then I'd have to go to, say, Old Shell Road and deliver somebody's paper.
Oh, yeah.
So we did that, for a long time.
So you delivered the papers that were missed.
Right, that were missed, wet, damaged, or whatever, and we did that 7 days a week.
I would have to do that.
Had phones in the...
I forgot about that one, but when I had the Troy Citizen first year, we were free to everybody, so it was easy. You just threw it to every house. Then we went to paid subscriber, and we put little orange dots on mailboxes. Then you had to know who got it and who didn't. Then we finally mailed it.
Yeah. Well,
but then I also remember people would call you and didn't get their and you did not want to upset people. And so me, the publisher, I'm bringing you a paper. And then I went to the Montgomery Independent in Montgomery, and the same thing would happen. And people would call, and they sounded so good, nice, and pitiful that I'd spend 15 minutes trying to find out where they lived, and then drive a paper to somebody in Montgomery.
And our local newspaper, the Troy Messenger, is not free on Wednesdays anymore. It's $1.
It's going to cost you $1, but it's worth $1. It's worth every penny of it.
Papers have always been bargains.
Hey, ask Jason Gregory, is it worth it to him to have an ad in the Messenger? How about that? Jason Gregory and Premier Dodge Chrysler Jeep.
You had 2 Clydesdale horses in the Brundage Christmas Parade. Their names are Fred and Barney.
Clydesdale
2 Clydesdale horses in the Brundage. They pulled a wagon of the dignitaries and
those
kids,
are huge
Santa.
horses, buddy.
Were they actually?
They were Clydesdales, harnessed and everything.
Their home headquarters was St. Louis, Missouri, wasn't it?
It's like the ones that you see pulling the wagon on the Budweiser commercials.
Yeah.
Some of the best commercials are made with those horses.
When I worked at the Chamber of Commerce as a membership director, I got a call from somebody that had one of these Clydesdale teams that was going around the country, and they would let you use them to promote their company. And I said, this sounds cool. And I said, yeah, we'll do it. And talked to Marcia Gaylord, and she said, yeah, that sounds neat. And so we got a team that came to Troy on a super cool wagon, and then they took those Clydesdales around the square, buddy.
Yeah.
And before they did that, though, they went out to the nursing home, 2 of them, or maybe 1 of them, giant horse, about 7-8 feet tall, and it was so tame they took that horse through the nursing home and took it into people's rooms.
Wow.
What?
Yes.
Got that giant.
So there are pictures of ladies that are in nursing home residents petting a tame giant Clydesdale horse, if you believe it.
When Abby was little, we went to the Fairhope area, and Jody said, let's go horse riding. Let's take a horse riding. I said, okay. So I get on my horse first, and they have to get a ladder for me to get on. That horse was like a Morgan. I mean, I'm up about 10 feet in the air. If I'd have fallen, it wouldn't have been good. So I'm on my horse. I'm up there on this Morgan type horse. So Jody gets on her horse. Abby She's not going to get on the horse with Jody. No. So Jody and Abby come off. I said, well, I feel obligated. So I rode that horse for about 2 or 3 miles, and I was ready to get off that horse. And for about 2 weeks after that, my back went out on me.
Oh, yeah. Well, the Clydesdales that rode around the square, the team of them, you can see a picture of it in the collage at Bird Drugs that Troy Citizen donated to Bird Drugs. So next time you're in Bird Drugs eating breakfast and lunch, go look at that collage on the wall, and you will see a picture of those giant horses running. And it brought a big crowd to people to watch them.
You know, of course, I was going to tell you a little incident that happened to me at one time. I was a young coach here in Troy, my first job as a coach, and I was the coach I taught school at the junior high school, the old junior high school. I was the last coach to finish at the old junior high school, and my father, I told you, had those the contracts for the advertiser, and if his trucks didn't take the advertiser to the cities, you didn't get them. Mm-hmm. Well, my father was in an accident one time, and I was as a young high school coach.
Driving one of the trucks?
Well, somebody had to do it. My father was in the hospital with his injuries, and my brother and I, for over almost a month, maybe close even to 2 months, every other morning we took the advertiser to the cities. That's what my daddy did. He took it to the cities, and we did that every day, every other day.
I bet you did about like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Well, hey, how about 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning? I've been up all night long. And then I had those PE boys that I had to teach.
You pulled the gut check, yeah.
Yeah, and of course I was up all night long, and then I had to coach all.
I don't want to say woe is me, but you'll see why I got burned out in the newspaper business and eventually closed the Troy Citizen. Monday was when we put our paper to bed. It was a weekly paper. You wrote for it.
Oh yeah.
So that was always stressful, and you always procrastinate. And we'd put the paper to bed get it done about 9 o'clock. Whew, finally, paper's on.
I bet,
so we had to get it printed. Well, you know who printed our paper was the Andalusia Star News, which is owned by the Messenger, Boone newspaper.
Yeah.
Well, I had to drive. Back then, you couldn't email the pages. It wasn't computerized, so you actually had paper pages and pasted up. So I would take the paper to Andalusia. That's an hour drive. That's why I went through Brantley and learned that you got to go slow.
Go slow in Brantley.
So I would get there about 10
o'clock. Though. Hello, Bernie.
Sometimes it depends, 9 or 10 o'clock at night. Then I would just sit around and go to sleep in the conference room while they printed the pages. And I rented a rider truck every time. And then they would load up the papers, and I would drive back to Troy, and I would get to Troy about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. Well, then what did I do?
Put them in the car.
Well, then I was like your dad. I had my carriers that met me, and they would get the papers and do their routes.
Yeah.
But to save money, I took a route. And so then I would go and throw Hillcrest, and that would take me an hour and a half. So I would go to bed about 2:30 or 3. Man, I'm telling you, I didn't wake up again until or get going again until like Wednesday. It would just
probably take you 2 or 3 days.
Is that a tough job or not? Gosh.
Well, if it completely. I'm still probably having post-traumatic stress syndrome.
Waking up in the middle of the night, said, I gotta go.
And then I was writing all the stories and covering all the events, and
you were the paper.
Selling the ads and laying out the ads, and so I always admire people that work for little newspapers compared to the big advertisers in Birmingham. I always said, man, you tell me I could be a journalist and just write 3 stories a week? That's all I got to do?
And there were a lot of individual businesses, whether they needed a ad or not or whatever, would buy ad from you just to support the paper.
They did.
I mean, the Troy people were great at supporting a newspaper.
You know, the key. I'll tell you the key. Now that it's been 15 so years since I closed it, the key is what you know on this show. What makes this show go? You need advertisers that say, "Yeah, I want an ad for a year," and they're in there. You don't have to sell them over starting every week. You know, that revenue and ad.
Wise Office Supply was one of them.
And it actually works out good for the advertiser because the more often you're seen, the more effective your ad's going to be. But so I had a few that did that. God bless them. But I didn't get enough, and so then you would have to start selling ads over from you might have 10% of your revenue already in there, but then you would have to stress out and try to get some more ads. It's amazing I'm still here.
Well, and of course, tell us what's been going on, Forrest.
Well, there's news in Auburn. Texas A&M, their quarterback is transferring to Auburn, Zach Calzada. And he will join former LSU transfer T.J. Finley and redshirt freshman Demetrius Davis and four-star 2022 signee Holden Guerinier.
Wait a minute, tell us that again.
What's that, Guerinier? Those are the four quarterbacks on staff. Got Calzada grew up in Sugar Hill, Georgia. He attended Lanier High School, and he picked Texas A&M over North Carolina State, North Carolina, and Georgia. So Auburn adds a quarterback
who had beaten Alabama and Auburn in the same year.
That's right.
Is that right?
And so I don't think Texas A&M will suffer. They're going to get some quarterbacks in.
Yeah, but that's good. That's good news for Auburn fans. But I didn't think that he was a world beater, the quarterback at A&M, but he did beat those two, Alabama and Auburn. Very few coaches ever have ever beaten them both in the same year.
That's right. He slayed Mike Tyson when he knocked out Alabama.
Yeah. Exactly right.
You know, they're still probably aching from the two losses that they had. Who did A&M lose to earlier?
That's what Max says. Texas A&M lost 2 games intentionally almost to beat Alabama. He said they held back a lot of what they were going to do, and they kind of did stuff against Alabama they hadn't shown all year. But they lost 2 games for Alabama. Then they ended up losing 4 games. I think.
I want now. A lot of people out here have heard about this, and this is fixing to start happening in a big way. Tell us what the portal is. Tell the people what the portal is and what it does.
I think Steve says we might need.
For more on this stunning victory, let's head down live to Coach Dr. Hyundai on the field.
Dr. Hyundai, that was a record win. Please tell the folks at home how you did it.
Well, you know, our guys, they go out there and give 110% every day. And you just can't lose with the Mitchell Hyundai Advantage Package. And with Hyundai Owner Assurance, we double America's best warranty to 20 years, 200,000 miles. Now that's the real dream team. Score big with Mitchell Hyundai, Enterprise, Alabama.
At Cost Plus 10%, we offer your favorite brands at the best price. At Piggly Wiggly, we keep it simple. We price our products at cost, then add 10% at checkout. We carry all your favorite name brand foods, and we accept manufacturer coupons. Find us on Facebook and see our weekly specials.
It's Alabama's favorite time of year, the tailgate season event, only at Mitchell Hyundai.
No matter what your home team needs, the doctor has the prescription. Like the new 2022 Hyundai Palisade with third-row seating, so no player gets left behind. Plus, we're doubling America's best warranty to 20 years, 200,000 miles. You can't lose with the tailgate season event. Score big with Mitchell Hyundai, Enterprise, Alabama. Are you looking for a change this new year? Well, there's no better place to shop than Mitchell Hyundai in Enterprise, Alabama, or on the web at mitchellhyundai.com. We'll make sure you're prescribed the best vehicle to solve all your problems. Plus, we'll double America's best warranty to 20 years, 200,000 miles.
Well, what about this?
Whoa, maybe not all your problems. For your best selection and value, come see the doctor at Mitchell Hyundai in Enterprise, Alabama, or visit us on the web at mitchellhyundai.com.
In the market for a new or pre-owned vehicle? We've got what you're looking for.
So come see us at Bill Jackson Chevrolet Buick GMC in Troy, and you too can experience the Jackson satisfaction.
Bill Jackson Chevrolet Buick GMC.
Oh, bless his heart. Back to our show, brought to you by Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram trucks on the bypass here in Troy. And right now they've got a deal on Ram trucks and also on Jeep Cherokees. Take $10,000 off of every one of those vehicles.
Gosh.
And save money at Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep. Remember, and I've said this over and over, remember, nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody. Back to our show, Bill Rice and my good friend Forrest Lee. And Forrest, Pike Liberal Arts, athletics. I don't know if the Alabama Independent Schools have seen a more successful 2 or 3 years. They won baseball 3 years in a row. Is that right?
I believe that's correct.
Well, I'll tell you, yeah.
And they're going to start with the top pitcher in Alabama will be the pitcher for them this year.
Right. He was named, I believe, the Alabama Sports Writers Association's Pitcher of the Year for the AISA, and that's Drew Nelson.
Yes, sir.
They've got Darrell Lee's on staff, and
now tell me about Darrell Lee. He was quite a player at one time at Charles Simpson, wasn't he?
Well, he was a center fielder and pitcher, and I know at one time he had a knee injury, but he's back healthy, and this will be his first year at Pike Liberal Arts.
But he's
a lefty.
Yeah, he was outstanding. Is he a pitcher too?
He's a pitcher and outfielder, I believe.
Drew's also a left-hander, and everybody talks about Drew having the best changeup they've ever seen for a young pitcher. But something else he does, and let me tell you, you get on first base with Drew Nelson pitching, you better not get off more than a yard. I'm serious. He will throw you out. He's got the best move to first base that I've ever seen a young player have.
I've seen him do batting. For his bat hitting and batting.
Oh yeah, he's a great hitter.
He working at that, and his dad, David's out there with him. And
his dad's a great coach.
Is just a smooth left-handed swing.
And you know what, I was talking to his dad about the other day, and of course his dad has worked with him for years. Is that is his hitting? I said, well, at Auburn, now I'm gonna want to go up there when he's pitching. He said, well, I think he can play both, and that's what he says. He thinks that Drew can start at Auburn as an outfielder and as a pitcher.
Just like the Hudson did.
Yeah, right. Like the
Hudson was
and if you'll think about it, I bet you that there was some stipulations in his contract, or that when he signed, that he gets an opportunity to play in the field too.
Well, I didn't know he was that good a hitter. I knew he was a fine hitter, but
yeah, that's right. And like you said, you mentioned that smooth swing. It is as smooth as silk. It is just unreal.
Well, he's just obviously an all-around great athlete because he's a great basketball player.
Yeah, he is.
He played football last year. I guess he just took a break from football. I can understand why this year.
And Bryce, can't you see me and you driving over there and watching him pitch this spring?
No, heck yeah.
Boy,
I would say he's the best pitcher in the state of Alabama.
Yeah, that's right.
And I don't have it in front of me, but I believe with the top 10 players in Alabama, 5 have signed to play at Auburn.
Oh, yeah, wow.
In baseball, I had months ago.
Who is Auburn's coach? He's doing what you got to do. He's recruiting.
Well, all right, I tell you what. Tell me who's got 2 better ones. Going out, and the head coach is, but his assistant coaches are Gabe Gross, and the other one,
I can't
former
remember.
Major League Hall of Famer, or going to be a Hall of Famer.
Hudson coaches at Auburn.
Yes, he coaches at Auburn. He's assistant coach at Auburn.
Oh my God!
Tim Hudson and
Gabe Gross.
Gabe Gross. are the two of the guys that go out there and recruit.
You're right. You can't be.
Hey, what if Tim Hudson walked up to your door and you got a great pitcher or a great center fielder?
You got Butch Thompson.
Wouldn't you let him come in?
Yes.
And wouldn't you consider, say, if he said, well, I think your son will have a good road toward Major League Baseball after he finishes at Auburn, and he could, Tim Hudson could pretty much say that, couldn't he?
Yeah. Butch Thompson's the head coach. Carl Nonamaker, Gabe Gross, Tim Hudson, Greg Dry, and Chris Joyner.
That's the Auburn coaching staff.
No,
Tim Hudson is the richest guy in Auburn, surely. I mean, with the big contracts he signs, God, he's an assistant college baseball coach.
Going back to Drew, that award was given by the Alabama Baseball Coaches Association or something like that.
That's right.
It wasn't the sports writers, but that'll probably be coming too.
That's a great. That's that group that has their baseball tournament in Troy. And that's a great group.
Yeah. Well, let me just say this: we know about Nelson, and we know about the left-handed kid that plays center field. Help me out here now.
No, you're asking the wrong person with names of these kids.
Wait till they start playing.
Well, the kid who transferred to Charles Henderson.
Lee. Casey Eubanks.
All right.
Casey Eubanks is a kid from Dothan who has signed with Georgia Southern to play infield. Right. He is fast and as smooth as silk.
And he pitches elusive. Too, also. And
I don't think he's a pitcher.
Oh, he's not. I
don't think he'll be pitching.
All right. Well, you got those three guys right there that could play for pretty much any college team, and that's just a beginner. I mean, Pike.
Well, Pike Liberal Arts. If they should be a lock to win the basketball state championship.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but they should be a lock to win the baseball.
Well, see, I don't know much about them in basketball.
Their baseball schedule is unbelievable. They are traveling here and yonder.
Oh yeah.
You just hope that the health of everybody stands up.
And you got the whole Hickson crowd to coach them if you wanted to.
Well, what I'm gonna say is,
I could see Billy throwing batting practice, couldn't y'all?
Not Billy.
Yeah, Billy was a good baseball player himself. I guarantee you. Hey, listen, Billy is strong to his boys for the last.
He's in pretty good shape, but Billy's my age. But if he can do it, more power to him.
Yeah.
But here's what Pike Liberal Arts has a excellent chance to three-peat in state championships back-to-back years. That'd be 6 consecutive state championships.
All right, now in baseball, they are planning on trying to win their 4th straight. Is that right? They've only won 3
I'm
straight.
confused because one year they were going to win it, and then COVID knocked out their season. Now all I remember is they knocked off Morgan from Selma. You called the game.
Yeah, oh yeah. Sure did.
Then you had the COVID year that they were getting ready to win the state championship, but they canceled the season about 10 games in. Then they came back last year and won. So I know they've won 2 back-to-back.
Yeah.
Did they win the year before they beat Morgan, or did they? I think they lost. I think they lost in the finals.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I can't remember. But they won 3 straight in baseball.
Maybe we think perhaps they did.
Well, and then let's look at where it comes from. All right, Troy, Brundage, and Pike County, surrounding area, and some folks from Union Springs and whatever are going to Pike Liberal Arts School. And so that's a great feeder program. Over in Phoenix City, don't you know that's a good feeder program that they have there at
baseball might be the toughest one to win because there are several really good baseball programs.
That's a great baseball area. And then you also go over to Selma. They've got a great program over there. Auburn, Lee Scott's got a good program.
Glenwood's good.
So we're not going up against just poor baseball programs. I mean, they're competing with several towns.
Tuscaloosa Academy is sometimes good in baseball.
Yes, sir. No question about it. So really, in that, the competition is pretty good in baseball.
I'm glad that Rush is scheduling as tough a schedule as he can. That'll
Do
That's
y'all
good.
have?
I would much rather, the kids would probably much rather do that than play teams that are way beyond their ability. And just
Well, can you tell us as far
20
as
to nothing.
who the guys are that they'll be playing? Or do we have their schedule?
I'm looking at it right now. Let's see. Looks like Mosley out of Florida.
Mosley out of Panama
Wes
City.
Jones out of Laurel, Mississippi. But I can't pull up the whole schedule. I'll try to get one printed. But they're playing a lot of out-of-state games. I think in Florida.
Exactly.
And they're playing public school teams. Out of state.
This is leading up to one thing. I really, really more than ever believe that the best thing for their program. Now, it's been great to win all these state championships, but come back home and set up, play a public school schedule with Goshen, with Ayrton, with Longer, Skipperville, Elba. There are just so many schools that
Providence Christian,
within 30 miles of each other for them to play. Providence Christian,
Brantley.
How about the
Luverne?
Luverne.
G.W. Long.
Jack
and I say Charles Henderson High School. You put a Pike LeBlanc versus Charles Henderson baseball game.
Oh, hey.
You're going to have a really good game.
Well,
make some money.
I'll tell you this, with whoever's got to go up against the kid pitching.
Pike LeBlanc would win.
Yeah, they would win every game. This guy's that good. And but it's just so evident. Can you see it?
Well, here again, in the regular season, I wish both associations could come together and agree during the regular season, play within each other, public and private, and still play some of your common opponents like Glenwood, Fort Dale.
Mm-hmm.
In the playoffs for all sports, any private school, including St. Paul's, John Carroll, or parochial school, in the playoffs have 6A through 1A play for a state championship. And on this side, public schools play for a state championship. And I'll give you the example. When Goshen and Pike County has to play a private school in Montgomery, they have all of that metro area to draw from. Same thing in Birmingham, Huntsville, Mobile, Baldwin County. Goshen and Pike County, Ayrton, they are relegated to those kids who live in a certain jurisdictional area. St. Paul's, they don't. St. James, they don't. Trinity, they don't. So they can come play, and they can get those kids can just come 40 or 50 miles away.
They don't have to live in that district.
No, they don't. But they're charged extra people. But it's hard to compete when all the marbles on the table. You just can't do it. And year in and year out. And here's another example. This year, I know Goshen had like 6 or 7 juniors and seniors on their roster. Trinity has about 30 to 35 juniors and seniors on their roster. You're not going to beat them.
No.
Because you don't have the manpower. Those kids ain't physical enough to
of
beat someone that's got that many juniors and seniors.
But you know something? But Pike LeBlanc can beat them. I mean,
if they had played, they would have a good chance in a lot of things. I don't think they would dominate like they're dominating AISA.
No, I know, no
because
way.
there's only like 10 teams that they got to beat.
Yeah.
They got to be the best of 10.
That's right.
In 2A football or 3A football, there's about 62 teams that you have to be the best of. So when you have 10 teams in AAA, 8 are going to make the playoffs. I'm not taking anything from Pike LeBlanc because
the only sport that I know that Pike LeBlanc could actually play at against any high school in the state of Alabama would be baseball.
Baseball. They can play against any 6A or 7A team.
With those pitching staff. I mean, these guys, we're talking about they've got the best pitching staff.
Now, when it comes to football and basketball, the question really, if we're talking honest, and I'm old enough now that I don't care, I'm going to say honestly, is Pike LeBlanc going to keep recruiting these players? If they do, yes, they can compete in public school league. But if they don't, they're going to be back to where it's just the luck of the draw. What kind of athletes?
Still have a good football program. You know?
But I still think they could do it because there are so many good athletes, and the people. Let's say the people of Pike County are sending their kids to Pike Liberal Arts.
Well, y'all heard me say it many times, and this is a fact. Pike Liberal Arts is front four defensively. Front four. You saw them. Their front four is about as good as any 3A football team in the state. Not 5A, not 4A, 5A, and 6A, but at least 3A they could play. You know, their front was that good.
A lot of high schools in the public sector recruit just as hard. Their boosters do. There's kids that transfer to other schools that are from Timbuktu. All of a sudden, they're in Gulf Shores playing, or Metro.
Well, I'll give you an example. And I don't want to.
They've done it in all sports.
Pike Road had an awesome football team this year.
That's right.
And several of their players had transferred in from other public. Their star best player that just signed with Alabama was at Park Crossing the year before.
So they can pretty much go anywhere. Yeah.
Their kicker had kicked at Charles Henderson the previous 2 years, but he's from Pike Road. He just moved back to Pike Road.
Oh, and they cannot.
No,
I don't think anybody can govern it.
Well, like we're saying is we're talking about smaller schools that Pike could definitely play at. They're not going to play at these bigger schools or anything like that, but. They could actually play at the 2A level and maybe the 1A level.
And the recruiting is kind of a big word. As Coach Fountain told us, the parents and the athletes are going to come to you if they think you've got a good sports program.
Yeah, that's right.
So as Coach Fountain told us, he's the coach of a private school down in South Alabama now. He said, when somebody parent comes and talks to us and they got a good athlete that wants to go to our school, you're saying, yes, come on in.
Bobby Carr, who was...
Plus, they need the tuition to keep the school going.
That's a good example, Forrest.
Bobby Carr was he was at Edgewood Academy, and they won like 70, 80 games in a row, or how many. Well, that's what they did. Now, he left there. He's at Atauga Academy. Atauga Academy beat Escambia Academy. And where does Atauga draw its players from? Prattville.
That's right. People that are not
they're like,
and what has happened in the last couple of years to Prattville football? It used to be the powerhouse in the state.
Yeah.
It's down. They're losing players.
Well,
but
that's the reason.
This was just a general conversation that we've been in.
If you lose 4 or 5 key players that would have been on your team, and then they're suddenly playing at Atauga Academy, that's gonna hurt you. It's like Troy losing. Troy, I don't know how many players Troy's lost in the portal. Not a lot, but we can think of the ones they have lost. They're the best players on the team.
Yeah.
Because when you lose your best player on the team, that is going to cost you W's.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how it all works, but regular season, open it up. Playoffs, separate them.
Yeah.
I like your idea, Forrest. I've heard you say it several times.
Then Pike Lib wouldn't play. St. Paul's, it'd probably be two-way.
Is anybody seriously considering it, or have you ever?
That's just a thought I had.
Yes, exactly right.
Tuscaloosa Academy is going to the Alabama High School Athletic. They're leaving because they were up here. They got to travel everywhere to play. So now they don't. And there was a clause if you joined the Alabama High School Athletic Association. You got 2 years of probation before you can compete for a championship. I think that has been waived for Tuscaloosa Academy, and I'm not sure why. Is it because they're accredited? Whether or not I've heard that, but whether or not
that's what I've heard is that's the main reason Pike Liberal Arts hadn't done it already. Is a lot of parents say, "Well, I don't want my child to not be able to compete for a state championship for 2 years."
Yeah.
Remember when Troy went Division I in sports, and we talked about Coach Maestri and Coach Felix, that program being in the wilderness for about 10 years. They couldn't qualify for the NCAA tournament for like 7 years because they might.
It was something like that. I don't know all the rules, but
probationary.
Want to mention that Dixie Sheehan has retired from Troy Bank and Trust Company after several years. Of course, she's a great banker in Brundage, and congratulations, Dixie. Good luck to you in the future, and we'll be right back with more of Today in L.A.
It's the Big Finish pre-owned sales event. 120 used cars, trucks, and SUVs. $2.5 million in inventory. Starting at $2,995. Down payments as low as $29. And payments starting at just $99 a month. Shop at PremierTroy.com or come see us. Nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody.
I wish you could taste how much better food tastes when cooked on a Green Mountain Grill. But I can let you in on the reason that's true. Our pellets contain water, so they create steam while you cook, keeping your food moist. Does a gas or charcoal grill do that? I think not.
Come and see us at Southern Grill and Patio just off the square in Troy.
More Force, we've been through a lot this year, from saving Christmas to facing some of our most nefarious foes.
Like the leprechaun, like the tax man,
or the overpricing.
And we defeated them all. So no matter what villain comes for our customers, they'll have to come through us first. We'll keep slashing our prices on new vehicles and beefing up our certified pre-owned selection. All just a click away at MitchellNissan.com. So whatever they need, the More Force is prepared.
More Force!
MitchellNissan.com. More, it's what we do.
Life is hectic enough without worrying if your lights will stay on or if there's hot water for your child's bath. So count on natural gas to keep the energy flowing, even when the weather is unpredictable. Natural gas is always there to keep your home warm, showers hot, and food cooked to perfection. That's why America has relied on safe and affordable natural gas for more than 150 years. And we will be here for you and future generations too. You can count on natural gas from Southeast Alabama Gas District.
It's the Big Finish event going on now at Premier Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Save up to $10,000 on new Ram 1500 or new Jeep Grand Cherokee. Save up to $10,000 during the Big Finish event at PremierTroy.com. Nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody.
Back to our show, and of course brought to you by Sister's Restaurant. Do you ever drive up to eat at Sister's?
No, I don't ever make it out of town too much, to tell you the truth.
But you know, it's a great place to eat.
Tell us who we got a caller. Tell us who you are and introduce yourself. You're on the air.
Oh, hey, good morning. This is Dale Moats from Ozark Moats Auto Exchange, and a longtime friend of Mr. Mike's there, and I was calling to say it's good to see him on TV this morning.
I tell you what, you go way back, and of course I've been in the automobile business a long time, and you know, your lot is one of the best looking lots around for cars and trucks.
Well, we've been here 16 years now, Mr. Mike, and it's a little bit of a steady growth process. We've got 9 employees now, and you know, really.
You know who I remember? So
service department business here lately. That's when inventory has got tough over the last year and a half for everybody. We've really appreciated everybody supporting our service department, and I've been able to hire quite a few more people back there, and that's been good for us. Of course, I go back a long way with Troy Cable doing TV commercials and advertising work and all that too. So
you know,
we go back about 30 years, brother.
How many people in Ozark get Troy Cable?
I'm not sure. Back when I was in the advertising business with doing the local commercials, it was around 5,500 or so, but I'm not sure what it is now as far as households.
But, you know, right,
it's a good percentage of the residents, though, right?
Well, it's the only cable, actual cable.
Well, it's the only choice other than people who, you know, opt to some other form of dish or something.
Let me just say something. You're going to laugh about this, I hope. You know, I remember your dad so well. He was quite a personality. And he would come in with the shortest shorts that I've ever seen. Your father-in-law. And he was a great guy. Is he still around?
It didn't matter if it was 34 degrees or 100.
That's right. You're exactly right. And is he still around?
I found that I'm wearing shorts right now. You can't tell because, but your legs don't get as cold as your arms for some reason.
But
we lost him. March will be 8 years ago, Mr. Mike.
And he was quite a fellow. I tell you, he was quite a guy.
Yep, he was that. It was good to talk to y'all. Y'all have a blessed.
All right, listen. We're gonna drop by to see you before long. And,
see you, Dale. Nice talking to you.
Good to see you.
And Dale, take care of yourself.
All right, buddy.
Of course, we appreciate him calling in from Ozark this morning, and of course, there's a lot of Ozark people in there, out there. Of course, Will Matthews, the head guy, calls in pretty much every day on our
he's
show.
going to Indianapolis in the.
That's right. He'll be on his way.
Today.
I talked to a friend of mine, and he said he had 8 tickets. Can you believe that? 8 tickets, and
how much he's going to send 8 Alabama
well,
fans
he
up there?
said 8. His family, the whole family. He's taking his whole family up there, and they're going to have a big time. And they plan on eating at that restaurant. I'm telling you, St. Elmo's restaurant, one of the great state restaurants in the country. Very well known.
Going back to that topic, Northside Methodist at one time was in the Alabama Independent School Association. They have transferred over to the Alabama High School Athletic Association.
That's right.
I read an article in the Dothan Eagle. The principal was saying what it has done. We now can play about 30 schools within a 40-mile radius. It allows us to protect the academic day. Our kids don't have to check out of school to travel to a game. Yeah. It allows our parents to attend more games.
Exactly. All the sense in the world.
Transportation costs have diminished, and our attendance to our home games have increased. But academics, parents being more involved, because, for example,
less expense traveling and more revenue selling tickets.
I'm
almost a no-brainer.
Because most schools who in the AISA, they have to load up cars and take JV, then the JV, then the varsity, because they don't have maybe one bus.
That's right.
All of them cannot fit on, but they're checking out of school early to go to an event, say in Phoenix City, sometimes north of Montgomery, one time Bessemer. It's just that's an individual school's choice.
Yeah. And another real big thing
about all the.
Another big thing within those 30 schools that they could easily ride to the games, and then parents who watch the kids play, is exposure. They get, with 30 teams, they get tremendous exposure, and it's easy to schedule.
Yeah.
And everything. It just makes all the sense in the world.
So the athletes are playing more teams and more in front of larger crowds, so the players get to be seen by more people.
And these schools, Arrington is a wonderful school. You and I went there. Long High School of Skipperville.
Brantley,
Titletown. A great school system.
Ozark, we just talked to somebody from Ozark. Why can't Pike LaBelle Arts play Carroll High School? They could.
They could if it was a
baseball. They would
public school schedule, and and I can see them playing them all the time.
Well, look at Crenshaw.
Yeah, Crenshaw.
They're a very small private school, then that would open them up to play, say, Pleasant Home.
That's right.
Elba, Luverne, Highland Home,
Goshen. Yes, sir.
We're saying all this, and it's the one thing that makes me feel bad about it is you might say that the AISA is in a fragile position long term, and the AISA has been a great organization, and Mr. Fairclough that was the longtime director, is one of my favorite people.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's really no fault of their own. But just for all these economic reasons, are they going to have enough schools playing to continue offering this association?
People look at it all the time. Competitive. How competitive is your league that you play in, or wherever? Well, let's just say this: when you've won 3 straight championships in a certain sport, it's time for you to get out of that and go to a stronger program.
Yeah, it's too easy.
Yeah, exactly. And playing the public school schedule. How does this sound? Winning 5 straight championships at Pike Liberal Arts, a small private school, or winning 5 state championships at Long High School of Skipperville. I mean, it's just a bigger, solid program. You know.
You know, I always talk about our state championship team in 1980 at Charles Simpson, the only state championship in school history. And I was just a scrub on the team, but I was on the team. But the point I make is that there were only 4 athletic classifications back then. So you divide however many high schools there were in Alabama by 4, and so there weren't 62 teams in each classification. There were probably 100.
And I'm sure there's some.
We beat out 100 other teams in this state to win that state championship.
That's exactly right. And it's a true state championship.
On the website last year, like the AISA in football, for example, they had more competing in basketball, and I think a little bit more in baseball. But in football, I think there were a total of 31 schools that had a football program last year, and you divide that by 3, so you're averaging 10 or 11 schools playing for. So you know, 1A and 2A can play a 3A in the regular season, but in the playoffs, you know, you're in your own division of about 10, 11 teams.
It's like winning the conference, really.
And a strong program that you could play year in and year out is Houston Academy. The fine is an outstanding private school in Dothan. You're not asking them to go.
Headland, Slocum, I mean, you go on and on.
Oh, yeah, good programs, too. Really is.
Geneva County.
Yeah, it's continuous. Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Hartford held their own at the Destin shootout. There were the 27th annual Sandestin shootout. That was
held their own. They should have won it.
Yeah.
They lost by 2 points in the championship game.
They went 3-1, and that was hosted by Freeport High School. And,
you know, I said something.
Kentucky, all over. And Pike Liberal Arts, a private school in Troy, finished second, could have easily won it.
I was watching Troy last night.
That shows you right there how competitive they are.
I was watching Troy last night, and one thing they do not have is a good three-point shooter. I can't wait till the coach's son, who plays for Pike Liberal Arts, I can't wait till he gets to be eligible for a college scholarship, would come to Troy, because this kid right here, which is playing for Pike Liberal Arts, is probably one of the top 10 shooters in the whole state.
I want to watch him play. Can he really shoot it that good?
Yeah, he can just fill it up.
He's very sound fundamentally, just like his other two brothers. Yeah. He's got a brother.
That's right. They say his other two brothers might be better than him. You know,
the 8th grader and the 7th grader, but they're all named after a city in Texas. Tyler, Austin. I can't think of the other ones because I don't teach him.
You know, something that Texas has too that I like is they've got these dance groups. All of them have these high stepping dance groups. Yeah, oh yeah.
How did they do the cheerleaders do their routine at halftime last night, or was that Saturday?
No, they're going to do it tomorrow. The cheerleaders will be doing their stint.
They're going to the national competition in the cheerleading national championships, which is a big deal.
And I think they placed number 3 or 4 in the whole deal last year. They've really been outstanding. And we're looking forward to watching.
Saturday at 4:00 against Appalachian State, and I think it's $1 tickets and $1 Cokes, $1 popcorn.
That's right.
I mean, they're pretty much just giving away everything.
That's right. You're going to be able to eat for reasonable. Now, what I can't understand is why are they playing at 4:00? Is that going to just be the boys?
The girls are in Texas.
All right. Okay, that'll be boys. So it's probably going to be televised. What do you say? Did they play at 4?
Maybe so. I don't know.
Scott Cross's boys, he and his wife, Miss Jennifer Austin's the oldest, then Cody, and then Tyler. You got Austin, Texas, Cody, Texas, and Tyler, Texas. And
didn't Coach Dennis, the quarterback coach at Ohio State, he named his son Troy.
Yeah, he's got 2 boys, I believe.
And I would love to see him. He's a fine man, fine young man.
Corey
Dennis. You're right.
Dad, I know. I met his dad one time. You know, he was the athletic director at Troy.
Sure.
I'll tell you how I met him.
Played in Georgia, I believe.
Bobby lived in Pensacola. He was the ad manager for the Pensacola News Journal, And Bobby was the president of the Troy University Alumni Association.
That's right.
And so he had one of these golf scrambles, which is a good fundraiser for your group. And he invited me down, and I said, yeah, I'll drive down and play in a scramble. And you know who came down to that scramble? Coach Dennis, the athletic director, to talk to the 30 or 40 people from Pensacola that were in the.
Sure.
Couldn't have been nicer.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Corey married Nikki Meyer, Coach Urban Meyer's daughter, who played volleyball at Georgia Tech. He was playing football at Georgia Tech. Corey was. They have 2 boys, Troy and Gray.
Troy and what?
Gray.
Gray?
Like the gray beard.
Well, you say what? Corey's quarterback for Ohio State, what's his name? Stroud?
Yeah.
He threw for 550 yards against Utah in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, I don't think his quarterback producing like that. If he's not, I don't think he'll be in trouble for a job. Do you?
No, he's safe through next year. He's only a sophomore, so he's got to come back.
It's just amazing, yeah.
Corey is 29 years old, so he's still a young buck.
He sure is, no question about it. Of course, this is the weekend of the big game, and of course, Alabama. Now, we've got our Pickett group that.
I want to see the bowl results. I might have won it.
And I don't have it with me. I have it at home, but we will be talking about it Monday on our show. Of course, on our show Monday is the new head football coach at Troy University,
Coach Summerall.
Coach Summerall, and we're looking forward to
everybody mark
John
that down.
Summerall.
Monday morning, Coach Summerall, and tell your friends and neighbors that this will be maybe have him for an hour to.
Let's say this: I don't think you're going to see a better looking football coach anywhere than what you're going to see Monday morning. I mean, he is a sharp, classy guy, and you're going to see it. You're going to see why he's such an outstanding coach.
I think it's Summerall, not
Summerall. Yeah.
Summerall.
Well, everybody's pronouncing Summerall, but it's spelled Summerall. You're right.
Summerall, whatever.
Sumrall.
And of course, he's getting his family back in, getting his family
settled in.
He's got 4 children. Right. His wife Jenny, she was a Nixon from Huntsville.
That's right.
They got Sam, Sadie, Stella, and Sella. S-E-L-A-H.
Yeah, and of course, he was also raised in Huntsville, so
Grissom, I believe.
Grissom High School in Huntsville. Yeah, great program.
He was a linebacker at Kentucky.
People down here, unless think about it, you got to want to go to Huntsville. Off the interstate. The Huntsville is about 15
I've never
miles
been
off
to
the interstate to the right once you're going to Nashville. It's located on 15 miles east of the interstate. So by that means, most people don't turn and go to Huntsville.
I'm telling you,
they keep going straight to Nashville.
I'm 56 years old and lived in Alabama most of my life, and I have never been to Huntsville proper. I have been on that interstate and passed it several times, but I have never been to Huntsville.
It's the second largest city in the state of Alabama.
It's the largest now.
It is the largest?
The largest.
Larger than Birmingham.
Largest.
Now, but let me tell you this: it might show that, but let me tell you that it's not larger than Birmingham. Birmingham now has got all you got to do is go out and get in the traffic jam.
Well, it's whether you're talking about the MSA, the Metropolitan Statistical Area, or the corporate limits of Huntsville or Birmingham.
Yeah.
It probably, if you just like Birmingham is. Not just Birmingham; it's Mountain Brook, Vestavia Hills.
Oh yeah, that's right.
This is
that's the
right.
corporate limits.
Huntsville,
well, here it is. Forrest got it. It's just the city limits. This says 2020 census data: Huntsville 215,000, Birmingham 200,000.
Yeah.
Montgomery 200,000. Yeah. Montgomery is as big as Birmingham, and then Mobile 187.
Yeah.
So,
but you look at, like you said, you look at Birmingham. Think of all the Vestavia,
Shelby County is.
just several thousand people live
well, the
on one side of
MSA,
the mountain.
you remember the MSAs. The MSA of Birmingham, which is about a 40-mile radius, is I think 1 million. It's over 1 million
exactly.
people.
But of course, being from Huntsville, I'm sure he'll also be able to recruit very much in that area. He told me that he's recruited almost every town in the state of Alabama as a coach at Kentucky. He said we recruited Alabama strong at Kentucky.
Well, he got that running back from Wetumpka High that's been a real good contributor. Smoke, or what's his name?
Yeah.
Smoke Robinson.
Yeah, that is Smoke.
Smoke.
No.
He's their backup running back, but he plays a lot. And I remember watching him in the state championship game on TV, and thought, this guy's good. And he's gone to Kentucky. He's never been the starter, but he's been one of these guys that they rotate in often, and he's had a really good career. And I bet Coach Summerall recruited him.
Coach Summerall, I'm sure. Now, I don't think, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think Kentucky played either Alabama or Georgia, did they?
They played Georgia.
Did they play Georgia?
Played them pretty good for a while.
What was that score?
I just watched the highlights of it. I think Georgia ended up winning like 37-14 or 10. Georgia scored on the last play of the game, I think, to cover the line. I remember that.
Well,
they called the timeout with 2 seconds left and ran one more play.
Did they really?
I appreciated that.
We were having a lot of fun talking to Coach Summerall about his experience playing Georgia, and
he can tell us about Georgia.
Yeah, no question about it. And of course, we're so happy to have him in town, and hopefully we'll be able to bring him on our show for years to come, as he represents not only the Troy University football program, but
he can
Troy
take
State
Troy.
University.
Here, I'm going to tell you now, folks. Are you listening?
Yeah,
everybody hit record. Here's what you do. You recruit this area within a 5-hour radius of Troy. You get a few good transfers. You become the best team in the Sun Belt Conference. You get to where you, like Cincinnati, you run the table in your conference. And then you play one team like South Carolina or Tennessee or something from outside the conference, and then you upset that team.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Has Troy done that before? Yes.
Yeah, you're right, yeah.
So what happens if you've done that? If you run the table in the Sun Belt Conference and you upset the 1 or 2 big teams on your schedule?
You get to play in the Final Four?
Well, and it ain't going to be the Final Four for long. It's getting ready to be the Final 12.
Okay.
So Troy University football can be in the Division I
the chances of
playoff.
That, right.
It is not as hard as you think it is.
Yeah. There's his name,
Kavosi Smoke. His last name is Smoke. Look at that.
Where's number 0?
5'9", 201 junior running back from Wetumpka High School.
The Indians of Wetumpka.
Wetumpka, yeah. No question about it. Of course, we appreciate Gene's Flowers today, and of course, you're looking for flowers. They can send flowers anywhere in this world, I promise you, from Gene's Flowers right here in Troy, Alabama. Of course, we are getting excited, and Bart, I haven't heard your scoop on the big game coming up.
All right,
but who do you like in Alabama?
Well, I got to pick Bama.
And why?
I think it's going to be like a 20. I think it's going to be 31-21, Bama.
I tell you, it's tough. It's tough to pick this thing because it just this Georgia team is loaded. If Alabama's not able, I've said this yesterday and the other day, if Alabama can run on Georgia with Robinson, they can win the game. If Robinson is shut down, Georgia is going to win the game.
I think Alabama beat Georgia because they had 2 great wide receivers. Alabama just exploded on Georgia in the second quarter. They had Mechie in the second quarter. He got hurt late in the second quarter. But here's the big thing: Alabama does not have Mechie in this game. They got one premium receiver.
Wasn't it 17-17 at the half?
No, Alabama was up 24-17, I think. Alabama scored the late touchdown. Messi had about 8 catches.
Messi getting hurt really hurt Alabama, I think.
Now, can one of these young, unheralded freshmen pick it up? And then Alabama has injury issues on the offensive line and in the secondary. So if Alabama wins this game against this Georgia team, wow, hats off to Alabama and their coaches.
One of the keys, too, is for them to not let Georgia substitute. Georgia has a tremendous amount of depth in their front line and linebackers. Their first 7 people can be routine back and forth, and won't wear down. But if Alabama can keep them in there and run them down on offense, running the football, it'll wear that big front forward down for Georgia like they did before. Those guys were so tired they could hardly play.
Yeah, 24-17 at the half.
Alabama was down 10-0, and then they scored, I think, 31 straight points against. See how quickly the game was getting away from Alabama, and then in one play changed it. Georgia must have blown a coverage because he was wide open across the middle, and then, man, when you get that guy wide open when he's got a head of steam, he's going to score.
But he's not there anymore.
Not Messi, I meant Williams.
Williams can fly. He's faster than most everybody. But, they're liable to double team him,
That's right, yeah.
And it's going to be very interesting, and it'll be battle of coaches.
And Alabama also might have to put in the right tackle that was just getting destroyed by Auburn before Owens came back in.
I tell you, Alabama.
Saban plays the first team in the final 2 minutes of the Cincinnati game, and our starting right tackle injures his leg with 1 minute and 42 seconds left in the ball game. Who is that on? I mean, there should not. Every second string and third string lineman player on the team should have been out there then. But it is, as Coach Saban says, it is what it is. So Alabama might not have number 79 at right tackle, which you need your best tackles in a game like that.
We don't know about Eckler either.
All right, very, very important. Of course, the kicking game is very, very important all the time. But the running game is going to be so important. If Alabama can run it, they're going to win the game. But also, don't allow Georgia to substitute. They have a tremendous amount of depth in their front lines and linebacker areas. And but if they can't play, and we keep them from substituting, we can win the game.
Yeah, I saw an article this morning that some of the fans may dress up in their karate attire to do the,
Alabama, what is
but they said you better bundle up walking into the game because it's going to be like 15 degrees.
Do you think Alabama had missed a beat when their strength coach who did all those antics left them?
No.
And he's not even coaching anywhere now.
Well, he's back. He's back in Georgia. He's
back at Georgia. Okay.
He took a leave, and then he's back at Georgia, I think.
And so they're going to be rah-rah galore, aren't they?
I imagine he'll be.
I hope he's doing well because he's a great character and really helped
I've
Alabama.
Heard him speak before,
he helped out Alabama over the last 15 years, just like Kirby Smart did.
And he was a good speaker too. We hope that you've enjoyed our show, and of course you can watch us again at 1:30 today on this same channel. And of course we're getting ready for the kickoff. And remember, Coach John Sumrall will be our guest on Monday morning starting at 7 o'clock.
And go to the Troy basketball game, 4 o'clock Saturday.
And it's going to be a lot of fun. And have a great weekend, and let's get ready for the kickoff. Go Bama.